Well, I think in the human service field, when we are working with clients or participants or anyone who accesses our services, there are so many different issues that we could pay attention to. And what theory does is it gives us focus. And so I like to use the analogy of a lens. And I happen to wear lenses every day. And when I take off my glasses, my focus changes. I can look around the room and I can see shapes and I can see colors, but I cannot see details. When I put my eyeglasses back on, suddenly things come into better focus across the room than they were a minute ago. When I use a microscope, my focus changes completely. All of a sudden I can see things in minute detail that I didn't even know existed before I used the microscope. But I can see nothing that I might see with my naked eye because I'm focusing in on the minute details. If I use a telescope, however, then I'm seeing things that are very far away and nothing close to me. That's how I like to think of theory, because theory is like a lens. And in the human service field, what that does is it helps me focus in on certain things, but it also helps me decide what's extraneous, what I cannot deal with at the time. And we have to do that because otherwise there'd be too many details for us to attend to. So it can help me, for example, make many different decisions. If I'm working directly with a client, then theory can help me make suggestions for a course of action. If I have resources that need to be distributed, then theory can help me identify what's most important and what is least important or what is extraneous. If I have programming that I'm wanting to develop, then theory can help me identify a good approach to take in that program. So theory is a way to help us move forward, to help us make decisions day to day when we're working with human beings. Theory is also made up of many different parts. There are theoretical assumptions. Assumptions within theory are things that we really can't prove or that aren't necessarily testable. Let me give you an example. In Piaget's cognitive developmental theory, we make the assumption that children change over time in the way that they think. Many people call it a black box of that theory because there's really no way to prove or test that idea. So that would be called a theoretical assumption. And I see that as sort of the foundation of a theory, because if one doesn't accept those assumptions of a theory, then one cannot move ahead with it, or the theory is not believable. The second part of theory are what we call the concepts. And I see the concepts as the building blocks that then get put on top of that foundation. So within Piaget's cognitive developmental theory, we have the concepts of assimilation and accommodation, which describes the way that children grow in their thinking. Then we have what are called theoretical propositions. It's a big word just to mean that's the mortar between all those building blocks. It explains the relationships among those different concepts. So we have a foundation in theoretical assumptions, we have the concepts or the many ideas within a theory, and then we have the theoretical propositions or the mortar that holds it all together and builds whatever structure we're trying to build. That's my explanation of theory. All right, now that we have talked about what theory is and how we can use it within the community to deal with issues of public health or community health, we are now going to play with theory. And I choose that word very deliberately because theory does not have to be intimidating, and I'm going to give us the opportunity to just get in and learn about some more theories, practice applying it to real life situations so that we're all more comfortable with it, because I really think that that practice and that exposure will help us all do it when we get back into the field. So the way we are going to do that today is we've kind of put you into different groups, and I've given each group a scenario that might occur in any community. Choose your own 2 theories that you think could help you, that could be appropriately applied with this scenario. Then I want you to take them individually, take each theory individually, and apply it to the situation, answering a few different questions. The first one is, how does that theory help you understand and explain the situation that's described in your scenario? The second question, which we talked about, that goes back to the issue of the theory being a lens, is on what does it help you focus? And then the last thing I want you to think about is, what kind of implications or suggestions does that theory bring to this situation? So if the scenario is that you're working with an individual client, what kind of recommendations might you make? What kind of resources might you want to bring to that situation? If it's more of a programming issue or a bigger issue, how is it going to help you move forward with the dilemma that you've been presented?
I was thinking, too, that we're really good. We're Bronfenbrenner's as well as Bandura's social learning. Because if you look at social learning, it talks about that you observe from other people, or you learn from other people modeling.
You're modeling, right.
And systems I like a lot, but I also like what he was saying as far as using Bandura's for that reason.
Bandura's might be really applicable just because of its of use with teens, and because we know that modeling and peer influence is very important.
If we wanted to do both and then apply those together, of how we could help solve this situation using both lenses.
I definitely saw where systems theory and having a community have a better understanding of systems theory would really help in a situation like this.
Sometimes what theory can do for us is bring us back into seeing other alternatives. Maslow's hierarchy of needs talks about safety and belonging.
Food, and keep them safe as well.
Okay, try to look at one theory at a time.
Okay, so we're still on Maslow?
If you want to use that one first, I think that's a great one to apply first. And try to answer the 3 questions just according to that one theory.
Okay.
And then later, we can look at how they all fit together and can they actually be informative of the whole situation if you combine them.
Okay.
Thank you all very much for making yourselves vulnerable, for trying something new. I know we hear the word theory and we all get worried about what that means, and I really appreciate the way that you dove into this activity. You brought your own knowledge and your own perspectives, but you also listened to each other, and I could tell that you all learned something new today, and I greatly appreciate your willingness to do that. I want to give a few ending points for us before we wrap this up. First of all, I hope you're going away no longer thinking theory is scary. I hope you're no longer afraid of theory, and that you see that it's something that applies to you in your own work at your place of employment for your clients. I would like to encourage you to go home, go to work, talk to the people you work with. Ask them what they think about these issues. Do they have some theoretical perspectives that they feel help guide their work? Talk about it together. See how you can learn from each other to really increase the level of client services that you provide, to make sure that they're effective, appropriate, ethical, all those kinds of things that we strive for. Help them be less afraid of it by showing what you've learned today, and that theory is important in the work that we do. Remember, you don't have to be a true believer. You do not have to choose one theory and hold tight to it and apply it every time. It's okay to have a guiding perspective. Many of us have that. If you haven't identified what that is yet, do a little thinking about it as you're talking to your colleagues so that you can identify what is guiding your work. But make sure you keep that storage closet or that treasure chest full of a few other theories that can help you broaden your perspective, and make sure that you're using appropriate principles as you're working with your clients. Also, I want to make sure that you feel comfortable finding new resources. So we've made sure that we've provided you with a list of resources to help you learn a little bit about some theories that maybe you hadn't been exposed to before, or that might just work as a little reminder of those things that you have been exposed to. And share those with your colleagues. Maybe you can help them expand their perspective as well. Thank you for participating, and please use the resources and contact those who are willing to help. Good luck with your work.